Hey guys, so I've been recording videos all day to kind of catch up to everything that's going on in Argentina. As of I finished recording and editing. So as of what I know so far from what's been posted on Twitter, it sounds like we will probably hear a appeal decision in about 4 days regarding this case with Liam Payne and those that have been accused. We will see what happens in 4 days, of course, but I wanted to do a video where I review Infobae's article in Rolling Stone. And let me just say, it's going to be a lengthy video. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, support, do all those beautiful things that you guys do to support creators, because this one took me a minute to to do this video just because of all the information that's moving around. So let's get going with this video. I'm a little worried about Rolling Stone because I was told that I was going to be upset. So maybe I should read Infobae first. And let's do that before Rolling Stone, okay? Because I think that'll be a lot better, okay? Let's get started with Infobae. Just dropped this, I want to say a couple minutes ago. So, key hearing in Liam Payne's death 100. Norris Roll and the former waiters chats. The lawyer of the 5 defendants presented their appeal to the prosecution in preventative detention before the 6 chambers of the National Crime and Correctional Court. What happened? Now, this is what I'm noticing right away off the bat. This is a new Infobae writer. This is not the same writer, Fashbender. I think that was the other guy. It's not the same guy. It's not the same writer. This is a woman by the name of Maria Laura Balonga. That's how you say her name. Okay, so for the first 3 hours on Tuesday, the lawyers for the 5 defendants accused of the former One Direction singer Liam Payne presented their arguments to Chamber 6 of the National Crime and Correctional Court of the Argentinian federal capital regarding appeals to the prosecution in preventative detention. For example, in the case of Brian Paez and Ezequiel Pereira. According to what Infobae was able to reconstruct from sources involved in the investigation, some of the lawyers left the hearing happier than others. Huh. Okay. The 100 USD that Pereira allegedly received in exchange for the drugs for the singer, the connection between Rogelio Norris and the musician, and the chats with the former waiter were the issues that the presentation focused on. Sources of the case detailed to this media. On October 16th, Liam Payne fell from the balcony of his room in the 3rd floor of the Casa Sur Hotel, located on Palermo neighborhood of the city of Buenos Aires. All right. In light of this, the head of the Criminal Correctional Court, number 34, Judge Laura Graciela Bernard, indicted 5 suspects in the musician's death. Okay, can we stop repeating this over and over? And this is a picture, it's an interesting picture that they put up here. This is the attorney Rafael Libarona, the one with the umbrella, which we know is Rogelio Norris' attorney. But who are all these individuals right there, and what are they arguing about? Okay. They are the businessman Rogelio Norris, alias Roger, and the manager and an employee of the hotel, Gila Martin Esteban Graci, accused of negligent homicide, and those arrested for the supplies of narcotics for payment. The waiter, for the former waiter Paez and Pereira, another Casa Sud worker. In fact, Paez and Pereira's lawyers left the hearing with mixed feelings. Fernando Facete, the former waiter's representative, which is Brian Paez, had one premise: to prove that his client had not sold the cocaine to the singer and thus reduce the charges to free supply of narcotics, which is not punishable by imprisonment. The chats between Payne and Paez were one of the keys. There was an order for cocaine in the early hours of October 14th and another one that same morning. Okay. It says right there the hearing lasted 3 hours. So is it over now? According to the source in the case, while the complaint insisted on the conversation between the former One Direction member and Paez, where the musicians asked him to get him the drugs and told him that he would pay him double. Madeo Facete, Okay, Brian Paez's attorney suggested seeing the rest of the chats where his client tells him that his intentions is to give it to him. Infobae accessed this excerpt of the exchange of messages where the former waiter tells him in the early hours of the morning, I'm going to buy it, and if you accept it, it's a gift. Okay. But for now, nothing. I saw the messages late and I was working. Tomorrow, I'll buy it for you. Okay. So this is like they're saying that there was a communication between Liam and Brian Paez. Basically said, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. And if you accept it, it's a gift. All right. So they're letting us know that there were messages. Pereira's situation, on the other hand, is more complicated. He is accused of having supplied him with cocaine in October 15th at about 7:25 a.m. and October 16th at about 3:47 p.m. He received $100, and in the chat on the day of the death, the deceased asked him 7 grams more than what you gave me yesterday. Then he gave it to him by blocking the elevator door in the basement. And that is on video, said the sources on the case. Okay. So what they're saying is basically Brian Baez situation is of a gifted exchange, which would mean no sentence whatsoever, right? Like he accepted the gift of drugs. And then for Pereira, there was an actual exchange that was covered, and then it involved money. And that was the video that we've all seen here hundreds times. We've all seen here. Nones, represented by lawyer Rafael Liberona, and accused of the crime of negligent homicide, is free, but the judge placed an embargo on him for 50 million pesos and prohibited him from leaving the country. Libarona's argument for defending him on Tuesday was based on the question of objective responsibility. Oh my God, I feel like I've heard this way too many times, and we've already talked about it here in the previous video. In her indictment, the judge pointed out to the businessman as a guarantor of Liam in the country, in line with what was raised with the prosecutor Andres Madre through her telephone expert reports and the testimony of Jeff Payne. Notice, on the other hand, denied being the manager in his presentation to the court and counterattacked with the defamation suit against Payne Sr. So everything, according to the lawyer, is about personal responsibility. There's a big confusion here between the position of guarantor of a person and the legal duty that each of us have as a principle of self-responsibility to take care of ourselves. Okay, we've read this. He also mentioned that it's not proven that he was the singer's representative and that he was not in a position to be guarantor and had to answer for his actions. The situation of the manager and the hotel employee is more complex. There are videos of the day Payne suffered the crisis. There you could see the hotel employee taking him down a hallway. Well, manhandling him, honestly. That was a rather long discussion since instead of calming the singer down, they sent him to his room from where he jumped from the third floor, and the images are eloquent, they explained. What? From where he jumped? No. He didn't jump. I swear, like, I want to. The sentence is from where he jumped from the third floor, and the images are eloquent. They explain he didn't jump. Like the media in Argentina, and this is why I side eye Infobae, and it's like they're twisting it. First of all, y'all said that you guys had CCTV of the situation. Where is it? Not that I want to watch it, but does it exist? Was there a CCTV, I don't know, ring camera, or whatever the hell everybody calls them, out there that captured him fainting in and out of consciousness? Here they're saying that he jumped. He didn't jump. We don't know if he did. Nobody knows. Nobody can answer this. He doesn't even have like what? I don't know, y'all. Let's keep reading this. Let's keep reading this. The case. Payne stayed at the Casa Sur Hotel at midnight on October the 13th and died 3 days later after falling from the balcony. Okay, so now they're saying here that he fell, and the other sentence they said that he jumped. I just can't, okay? The autopsy results concluded that he died due to multiple trauma and internal and external hemorrhages. Okay. Some of this is copied and paste. The results of toxicology study revealed that in the moments prior to his death, And for at least 72 hours, Payne had only traces of polydrug use, of alcohol, cocaine, prescription antidepressants in his body. Payne, the victim. The experts ruled out any type of self-harm or third-party intervention, opening up the possibility that Payne fell unconscious. All right. We've read this. For investigators, this situation would also rule out the possibility of conscious or voluntarily act on the part of the victim, since in the state that he was in, he did not know what he was doing, nor could he understand it. Well, that's different than saying that he jumped. Like, I cannot. All right. Like as promised, I'm gonna do a reaction on the Rolling Stone cover story. Brilliant loss, damage inside the tragedy of Liam Payne. I'm already not liking the title. Is that bad? Like I just don't like the title. Again, it goes back to just like we're reducing this man to the situation that happened when he is so much more. When I did my last video to my earlier video today, that was my point of like people are reducing him to like he was this or he was that. Like even this title I'm already having issues with. Brilliant loss, damage inside the tragedy of Liam Payne. This reduction, and this is what his son is going to have to read, right? I struggle, right? Like I feel like there was so much more to him, and maybe Liam Payne trusted the wrong people. Maybe he was surrounded by the wrong people, because when you are a vulnerable adult like he was, you tend to trust the wrong people. You get taken advantage of, y'all. Let's get into this article, which I'm already itching. I don't like the title, but let's get into it, all right? Y'all wanted me to read it. One Direction brought him to the height of stardom, but friends say years of hidden struggles and addictions led the pop star down a dark path, a Rolling Stone investigation. Okay, it could have been a party. At around 2 in the afternoon on Wednesday, October 16, 2024, Doug Jones was making business calls from his room in Buenos Aires' upscale Casa Sur Palermo Hotel when clanging, banging, and whoopings sounds erupted across the hall. I heard some really bizarre noises like yelling, and it sounded like someone was partying, he says. Jones, a 36-year-old Texan in town for his friend Brett Watson's destination wedding, eventually left the room. Oh, I think I remember. Was this the same guy who did that one interview about I heard noises and crazy things? So he was also a wedding guest. Interesting.
A really, really loud yell, probably somewhere between 4:45 and 5 o'clock.
Liam Payne's suite.
Probably between 3 and 4, I heard the door slamming a lot, and it got really bad. Like there must have been people coming and going or whatever. And then lastly, a really, really loud yell, probably somewhere between 4:45 and 5 o'clock.
Liam Payne's suite.
Probably between 3 and 4, I heard the door.
All right. When he returned a few hours later, it seemed like his neighbor's door wouldn't stop slamming. It sounded like people were coming and going nonstop, Jones says. It was happening every few minutes. At one point, someone even tried opening Jones's door until he yelled at them. But the ruckus continued. The shouting just sounded manic, almost insane, he says. I heard the loudest one around 5, and then I started hearing all the sirens. Several hours later, Jones learned the name of room's 310 occupant when a friend told him that the guest had died. I hate to say it, I'd never heard of Liam Payne, Jones says, but I looked him up and I was like, oh wow, this is not just anybody. Payne was the handsome, charming pop sensation who melted England's hearts on The X Factor as a teen in 2010. The judges selected him to be a member of One Direction, which formed that year on the show and became the biggest boy band since NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. Payne sang the tender opening lines of the group's breakout single, What Makes You Beautiful, and co-wrote hits like Story of My Life, Midnight Memories, and Steal My Girl. His 2017 solo track, Strip That Down, was certified triple platinum. Jones' neighborhood at Casa Sur was a part of pop history, but at the same time, he just seemed like a nuisance. Like a nuisance. The singer had been staying at Casa Sur since October 13th. 2 days later, Jones was with Watson. Yeah, Brett Watson, the X-Men. He's everywhere but doesn't see everything. Yeah, that guy. When the groom tried to check in into room 310, a spacious suite with a balcony offering views of the verdant Buenos Aires, which he'd booked 6 months earlier for his parents. But Watson, 34, says that the front desk informed him that the room wasn't available because there was another guest they couldn't get. They couldn't get to check out. What did the witness say? But basically, she says that she goes to Casa Sur, the hotel, to meet with Naomi and Brett, who are the couple that we're referencing. And well, she goes up to the room with Brett. Now, while she's going up to the room with Brett, a conversation happens.
A mi cuarto, o sea, al cuarto de la habitación, y me das la plata. Bueno, perfecto. Subo al cuarto yo con Brett, y me estaba contando que había un chico, o sea, había venido a la banda, uno de los chicos de One Direction.
So she says, Brett's telling her there was this group that came, one of the guys from One Direction, who we now know as Liam Payne, that came to Casa Sur.
Y les habían sacado la habitación que ellos tenían. Porque
So then she says, well, that Liam Payne, the One Direction group member, basically took the suite that Brett and Naomi had already reserved for their little celebration. So they had reserved this, suite, but apparently they lost it to Liam Payne. They had paid a lot of money, but they lost it to Liam Payne. The witness said that she was told by Brett Watson that they had lost the room to a One Direction bandmate. I translated that. Like, all of this is interesting. Watson was also largely unfamiliar with One Direction, but had heard gossip from his friend about a celebrity guest behaving strangely. One friend told him Payne seemed desperate to be recognized. Another hotel guest, who gave her name to the Daily Mail as Rebecca, recalled Payne acting erratically and shouting, "I'm Liam. I used to be in a boy band. That's why I'm so fucked up." I remember this specific thing. And wasn't Rebecca the one that also encountered Rogelio Norris and he apologized to her? Okay. All of these pieces are kind of coming in my mind together. He was aggressive and loud, a person who was in the lobby and requested anonymity says. He had a frantic vibe. It seemed like he was in a bad mental state. Oh, because I thought that when Rogelio Norris left him, he was fine. Everything was fine. But people are saying that he was in a bad, frantic state. Okay. Watson says he saw Payne on the day of his death at around 4:30, lounging on a couch in the lobby until something on his laptop infuriated him. "Fuck this," he yelled. He muttered incoherently and threw the computer on the floor. The hotel staff got involved. Watson says a number of people were able to escort him out of the lobby. Watson says that the staff appeared to take Payne back to his room to prevent him from coming back down or causing any more scenes. All right, so he was incoherent, and yet wasn't it Brett Watson who took the picture of him on that couch? He didn't look incoherent there, right? But smart. Let's take this incoherent man to the third floor where something could happen. Okay. By the way, it says here hotel management did not respond to requests for comments. But Payne was back in the lobby 15 minutes later. Watson remembers that he fell over a table and landed on the floor and was shaking or convulsing. He looked like he was in a semi-conscious state, Watson says. That's when the hotel staff rushed over to try and assist him. I think they were trying to speak with him or get him fully conscious. As the staff carried him away, Payne threw himself on the floor and foamed at the mouth, according to Daniel, who was working as a masseuse that day at the hotel. Screenshots of the security footage showed several men hoisting Payne's limp body to the elevator. He was completely gone on drugs, says Salinas, who helped move Payne to his room. We grabbed him because there was no way to take him standing up. After the commotion, Watson returned to his room with his wedding planner. The wedding planner. 2 floors below 310. They left the balcony door ajar. It was a nice day out. Around 5 p.m., Watson says, I saw an object fall out of the corner of my eye. Our wedding planner saw it straight on, and it looked like she went into shock. She goes, "Oh my God, that was a body." No, she didn't say that in the interview. Y'all, I'm telling you. So Brett Watson saw something because the wedding planner said, "Hey, something false, something false." Let me make sure I'm playing these clips here.
Y escuchó el golpe fuerte.
She says, "I hear the loud bang."
Yo lo vi perfectamente que fue una persona, entonces no es
So she says, "I saw it perfectly. It was a person."
que me sorprendió tanto el ruido porque lo vi.
She said, the noise didn't surprise me because I saw it.
Es como que si te diga que si te cayese, no sé, algo con peso, que lo ves rápido, pero lo vi.
It's something very heavy that you see quickly, but I saw it.
Bueno, cuestión que la digo a Pretty, le digo, Brett,
She then looks at Brett and says, "Brett,
someone falls.
someone falls."
Y me dice, le digo, no fue un objeto esto.
And I tell him this wasn't an object. So now Brett is saying that he saw something fall, right? And he said it in the interview, but the wedding planner didn't say that. By the way, I'm hearing that it's going to be a couple days before we hear the outcome of the hearing. I guess we'll find out in a couple days. I just got the news right now. So let's continue reading this article. From the apex of the stardom to the lows of addiction, Payne fell about 40 feet. The singer, age 31, died at approximately 5:07 p.m. of polytrauma hemorrhage caused by the fall. A preliminary toxicology report indicated that Payne had alcohol, cocaine, and a prescription antidepressant in his system. Prosecutors in Buenos Aires would later say that Payne could have been in a state of semi or complete unconsciousness. Although the news sent shockwaves around the world, anyone who was paying attention would have noticed the fraying threads of Payne's life. A decade earlier, Payne was a beloved member of the world's biggest boy band. In the same year, after One Direction, he struggled to sustain fame as he grappled with addiction. His own solo album in 2019, LP1, didn't live up to the promise of Strip That Down. After the pandemic, he was in and out of rehab and once showed up drunk to a podcast appearance. His ex-fiancée accused him of harassment and distributing nude photos of her as revenge porn. And Snapchat posts from the final weeks of his life suggested he was living in Florida, seemingly isolating himself with his girlfriend influencer Kate Cassidy. Okay, so this is where they mention Maya Hendry. All right, let's keep going. His final downward spiral included doing drugs in the wee hours with the waiter he'd met at a local restaurant, hiring 2 sex workers for a daytime orgy, and smashing the TV and furniture in his room. What about the watch? Like, are we forgetting this crucial piece of information and possible evidence? What about this Rolex watch? Anyways, let's keep going. Accounts of Payne's last hours revealed that while numerous people were in his orbit throughout the day, friends, he texted, the sex workers, the wedding guests, passerbys in the lobby, hotel staff, none were with him when he died. Okay. And I thought he didn't have access to his phone. Which one is it? In many ways, Payne's life and death would have the familiar contours of pop tragedy. That's my problem, that we are reducing his life that way, that it's articles like this that reduce his life that way. It's bullshit, period. A young artist whose talents were often at odds with his demons, experiencing the apex of stardom as well as its depths. But interviews with more than 24 sources, including Payne's friends, confidants, and collaborators, Casa Sur Hotel guests and employees, and sources close to the prosecutor and defense attorneys, and a review of the legal documents revealed the circumstances surrounding Payne's final years are unsettling and murky. Could anyone have prevented his tragedy? It's a question no one has yet been able to answer, and the finger pointing that has followed only exacerbated the hurt and grief. Oh my God. Y'all, I'm already not liking this piece of trash. I'm not liking. I'm just the Payne family, through a representative, declined to comment for this article. I don't blame them. because it's like, I don't know, it's like it's weird. Like, I don't blame them at all for not commenting. I'm glad that they didn't. Shout out to them. Payne came into the world with just one functioning kidney. When I was born, I was effectively dead, Payne said in a 2013 Ban autobiography, One Direction, Our Story. He spent his first 4 years of life in and out of hospitals. Wow. At one point, he said he was receiving 32 injections in my arm in the morning and evening to try to make me better. I didn't know that about him. Chip Summers, a sober coach who worked with Payne in 2017 and 2018, remembers discussing the health conditions with them. If you're going to put toxic substances through your body, you've only got one kidney. You need to be quite careful, he says. He was unwell for the early stages of his childhood, which probably had an impact on the relationships he developed with his family. He was in the hospital quite a lot. Growing up, Payne said that he had never had a tremendous amount of friends and frequently hung out with his father. Him and his father do seem like they were very close. After being bullied in high school, he took up boxing to defend himself. He also learned to manage his medical issues well enough to become a top-ranked country runner. Wow, a top-ranked cross-country runner. But the kid who belted Oasis in his parents' car, sang karaoke, and at 6 years old, wowed a holiday camp with a rendition of Robbie Williams' Let Me Entertain You, always had his sights set on music. If you go back and watch the X Factor video diaries One Direction recorded throughout the competition, Wassel says you can see Payne become more and more vacant. She argued the show had a way of transforming a dream job into a blank space and routine. And that's not what anyone envisioned when they get into music. Listen, Katie Wessel has actually I remember that interview she did a couple months ago with Piers and Howie Mandel, who's like best friends with Simon Cowell. Nobody can speak ill of Simon. Like, let me just put this shit out here. Nobody can speak ill. And she sat there in this panel and defended herself. And here comes Howie Mandel basically, well, this is just everybody should be mandated to mental health services, everybody. And I mean, he didn't really wait to understand what his cause of death is or what happened or what they were arguing. And even then, the cause of death is very debatable in my opinion. But let's keep going. That intensity did not abate after the X Factor. One Direction placed third that season, but even before the final, the group was becoming a phenomenon. Cowell assured fans that the end of the show was just the beginning for these boys, and I would agree. Now I'm going to skim through this article because it's just very lengthy. Some of the stuff is just going to the history of One Direction, but I'm going to go to this part where it says Payne took his first sips of alcohol in 2012. He was 19 and had gotten the okay to drink from his doctor after years of abstaining because of his kidney issues. By his own admission, the floodgates opened after that. Within 4 years, he was recreationally using drugs, according to the sources. In interviews, Payne tied his addictions to his experience on the road. There was the monotony, euphoria, bemusement of performing the same show to 60,000 screaming fans night after night. It's almost like putting the Disney costume on before you step on stage, he said in 2019. And underneath the Disney costume, I was pissed drunk quite a lot of times because there was no other way to get your head around what was going on. My goodness. After the show, he lived within the exhausting confines of planes, buses, and hotel rooms. That sounds horrible because I can't be on a plane or a bus for like more than 3 hours, y'all. Like, just imagine this, okay? Payne said in 2021, what's in a room? A mini bar. So at a certain point, I thought I'm just going to have a party for one. And that seemed to carry on for many years of my life. Then you look back at how long you've been drinking and you're like, Jesus Christ, that's a long time. Sean recalls a quiet moment with Payne in South America at one of the One Direction's first stadium tour in early 2014. He stopped at the singer's hotel room. Payne opened up about how difficult it was being isolated and the craziness surrounding the group. No one teaches you that when you go after fame, this is what it could look like. Schoen says, if someone said to you, here's a book, open it up, read what fame looks like, see how it feels. Do you still want to do it? No one does that because nobody expects to be famous. They do it for the love of art. Oh man. One Direction released their final album, Made in the AM, in November 2015. So they performed live for the last time. For Payne, it was a relief the day that the band ended. I was like, thank you, Lord, for that. He says in 2021, I needed to stop or it would kill me. And again, I'm not reading this entire article. I'm literally just highlighting points that have been said here that I wanted to kind of bring about. I'll link the entire article in the description box so you guys can read it, okay? A once promising solo career falters. As One Direction ended, Payne's solo career and adult life began. In 2016, when he was 23 years old, he started dating Cheryl Cole, 33, the X Factor judge he'd winked at years earlier. Their son, Bear, was born March 2027. But the relationship wouldn't survive much more than a year. 2 months after Bear's birth, Payne released Strip That Down, featuring Migos rapper Quavo. The song found Payne's embracing the R&B and hip-hop sound he'd always loved, but didn't always fit the pop, rock-oriented tunes. Cowell and others felt it best suited 1D. Strip That Down cracked to the top 10 in the US and the UK. It was an auspicious start. Payne's next two singles did well, but failed to reach the same heights as Stripped That. Instead of touring, he was doing one-off promotion gigs and TV shows. His addictions worsened. Summers, the addiction companion, remembers receiving a call from Payne's management late in the year with the message, we need you to go and see this guy. He's pretty fucked. While Payne's maturity had defined his early years in One Direction, Summers found a young man who had never had the chance to fully emotionally mature. He described Payne as delightful, sweet, lovely boy who, like many people with substance problems, just wanted to be loved. He had a frantic vibe. It seemed like he was in a bad mental state. This is a quote. Summers helped Payne get sober and accompanied him on the Jingle Ball tour in late 2017. Payne reached a place where he could enjoy social events, golfing, bowling, and doing things somebody his age should be doing, Summers said. They kept working together after the tour, but Summers says the demand of a pop career poses challenges to Payne's recovery. If you're an artist like Liam, coming out of One Direction, you haven't got time to stop and take 3 years to do the kind of therapeutic work that you might hope for, Summers says. You've got to move on. After getting clean, Payne's life brightened when he met a young model, Maya Hendry. Listen how they write this. After getting clean, Payne's life brightened when he met a young model, Maya Hendry, in 2018 at a fashion show in Lake Como, Italy. Their relationship became serious the following summer, and he proposed marriage in November 2019. He also set to work on his debut album, recording in studios around the world, working with an array of established hit makers like Stargate, Ray Tedder, The Monsters, Strangers, Steve Mack, all the while as Payne put it in 2019, he was trying to learn to be a person. Liam was damaged prior to becoming famous and had childhood trauma, then was thrown into a brutal cutthroat industry that is notorious for destroying people, a source close to Hendry says. A source close to Hendry says. This is where I start side-eyeing because I'm like, so y'all are interviewing the ex-girlfriend who, how does this serve the purpose of this? Is it journalism? Okay. Which by the way, she looks for every opportunity to like see what's trending on Liam Payne to then kind of shit and jump on it. Like that's what she does. where it's like, if you're the ex, then why not stay as the ex? Does that mean? I don't know. Okay, let me keep reading. Achieving fame and wealth at such a young age contributed to his existing problems. As a young boy, he was faced with sudden shifts in responsibility, feeling like the weight of financially supporting those around him, which is what happens a lot to child stars, right? Payne struck up a creative and personal partnership with songwriter Sam Preston, who as the frontman of British rock group Ordinary Boys had band experience. He'd also had his own struggles with substance abuse in 2017. Preston suffered a near fatal fall off of a balcony in Denmark, which he acknowledged is fucking insanely eerily similar to how Payne died. Okay. Preston says he broke nearly every bone in his body, and during his long recovery, he wrote Live Forever about sobriety and the life-changing experience. He pitched the song to Payne, who recorded it for the LP1 and eventually released it as a single. Preston says he and Payne hung out, made music, and he acknowledged sometimes drank together. Okay. You could sense that there was a real brilliance to him, that he was almost afraid of letting people see, Preston says. He was such a talented musician. He could allow himself to be so raw. But when LP1 arrived in December 2019, it met tepid reviews and middling commercial success. Because of the pandemic, Payne never properly promoted the album on the road, settling for a string of live stream shows instead. Preston suggests that Payne felt the constant pressure that comes with achieving massive fame when you're young and forever thriving to match or succeed it. He was like, well, I have to be the most successful male solo artist or I'm a failure. But that's an almost impossible task, Preston says. There was also pressure. All 5 members of One Direction had gone their separate ways after the split, but remained in the spotlight to varying degrees. Let me say this because I remember we went to a Harry Styles concert. Like, he came to where we were at with my sister. He didn't even have like a full album. Like, I was like, why is this guy touring? They had just split up around that time, okay? I mean, they were all just kind of at this point in their life probably trying to figure out what to do with themselves. To see his bandmates and have the direct comparison, it's unavoidable for him to see that all the time, Preston adds. And if there was someone who's prone to addictive problematic behaviors, and I think that's just a very difficult situation to be in. Liam said he felt worse when 1D ended. The source to Henry says. So is this Maya Henry speaking directly to Rolling Stone or a source? Okay. When LP1 was not received well, he became depressed and felt his fan did not support him anymore. He had to keep working, making money, and express his worries about his finances and the pressure to take care of those around him that became accustomed to a certain lifestyle. See, and that's huge, right? Because then I wonder if he had a like a payment arrangement for Kate Cassidy. Did he have one for Maya Henry too? Like, I'm just wondering. It's just a question. Was she with this man while he was financing her lifestyle, knowing that he was struggling? Okay. I just have a question. That's it. In public, Payne seemed conscious of his career shortcomings and was clear about his desire to achieve more as an artist. In 2021, he acknowledged Styles had found himself on fine lines, adding, I don't feel like I've had that moment within me yet. I've written some songs recently and I'm really proud of and happy with, but I don't feel like I've had that moment yet. Floundering solo career, Payne's drinking, drug use, and mental health issues. A source close to Henry says that these were such a burden that Payne could not work properly. Multiple sources suggest Payne also wrestled with his sexual identity, compounding his struggles and leading to risky behaviors. Liam struggled with his sexual identity, a source close to the situation says. During his relationship with Maya, he sexted men. Yo, Rolling Stone, you have hit a new low. That this man is dead and can't even fix that or answer to this or say this. And let me just say this. Why does it even matter? Why does him sexual identity or whether he's bi, gay, sex, whatever it may, whatever, he's choosing to be, straight, whatever. Why does that matter? Maya, why would your source, or is it your source or is it you, girl? Why is this important for the people to know? Because this man you were with too. We're not done trashing him. What does it matter about this? What does it matter? Yo, their romance reached a nadir during COVID lockdowns. And when a source says Henry finally grasped the severity of Payne's addiction after she discovered him using drugs and drinking heavily. Liam wasn't recording, he wasn't touring, the source added. The source adds. It was like you took someone who had mental health problems, likely had sexuality issues, already had a drug problem, and then you took everything that kept him busy, recording, touring, interviewing, and he's just left with his problems. Sexuality issues. And now it makes sense to me as to this whole rumor, whether he was gay or if he was in a relationship with Rogelio Nores. How do we know that some of this didn't stem from here, from Maya's own statement? Your sources or Maya herself. If I don't get it. Did she leave him when he was sexting men? I mean, did she find it an issue or did she stay there? Let me not get mad. I'm getting mad, y'all. And this is becoming a longer video. I did not expect the Rolling Stone article to take me here, but it did. Okay. And Rolling Stone, excuse me, not Rolling Stones. I know it's one stone. Okay. And then Maya was just kind of held captive. She's like Ronnie Spector in Phil Spector's house. She can't do anything. Wow. In 2020, Henry learned she was pregnant. Oh. According to a source close to Henry, Payne gave her an ultimatum. Liam sent Maya a long message saying it's either get an abortion or stay with him, or raise the kid alone, and he will not acknowledge either of them, the source says. This was a surprise to Maya because Liam wanted to have a family, and they were trying for a kid. Ultimately, she agreed to terminate the pregnancy.